What is going on, everybody? Welcome to NMIGT Entertainment, and I am Joel. Nice to see you here on this kind of overcast day, but it is a little warmer than it has been. We're looking at 50s and 60s for the rest of the week in the middle of December, right before Christmas actually, so go figure that, right? So what we are going to talk about today is one of my cars that I haven't really said too much of here lately, but it's still my favorite car. That would be Nightwing. Now, Nightwing has been tucked away in the garage for about 2 weeks. I gave her a wash, and then the weather went crappy after that. It was snowing, this, that, and the other. And I'm one of those people that, you know, once you clean the car, I like to keep it clean for a little while. If the weather was nice, I would have driven it, but, you know, we're going to go ahead and take them out today. So, with no further ado, let's roll that intro, and we'll see you in a second. All right, guys, so let's talk about Nightwing here. This is my 2022 Explorer ST in Atlas blue, rocking the Belgian wheels and looking awfully pretty. But I wanted to get into this car a little bit today, maybe go through some of the options that are on there and some of the things I've done, and then probably tell you some of my future plans, maybe, or what I was thinking about doing at some point. So this is my Nightwing right here. And just to give you a brief overview of the fleet that is still currently in my possession, we have Pam Storm right there. Obviously we have Wasp. We have Brandon's Minion. We got Pam's Jeep Wagon. We got Sydney's Escape. And my newest daily, because I seem to drive this all the time now, is the Dodge Ram. Now, why do I drive this all the time? Is because where I work now, they have like a gravel road, and as you could see, she pretty dirty, right? But those cars are not pretty dirty. So doing truck things with truck things, right? So we're going ahead and we use this as our daily now. I got to get it cleaned up, but I'm still waiting for the weather. Probably before Christmas I'll bring it in the garage, at least the part that fits, and clean it up. But yeah, I drive the truck most of the time now. The Mustang stays here, the ST stays here, because, you know, where I work, the whole driveway and parking area is gravel. When it rains or snows, it gets muddy and sloshy. So, you know, instead of dealing that with all the cars, we'll just take the Ram and deal it with that. Let's go ahead and give you a Nightwing cold start. Alrighty, guys, this is Nightwing, my 2022 Ford Explorer ST in Atlas blue, which looks really good under this light today for whatever reason. It's working on the 22s that are from Belgium. These are the VF10s, and I have these on the Nitto 420 V's right there. Well, these, they say NT. Yeah, NT 420 V's. I am running a stock kind of setup on them. They're not really aggressive. I want to say they are 285/40 22s. And once I see the actual lettering, I will pop it up a little closer to you. But you know, you can see, yep, there it is. It's a little upside down, 285/40 22s. This truck is great. I haven't had any issues with it, knock on wood, as of right now. I had a couple warranty stuff, you know, with the sunroof seal and kind of this, that, and the other, right? You know, Ford, you buy a Ford, you're gonna get recalls and everything else. But for the most part, I haven't had any bad issues with this car. It runs good. I haven't had any problems. It does go into battery safe mode, but you know, I don't drive it as much as I used to, so that kind of happens too. It has a 3-liter twin turbo with a couple little modifications under here. We have the Whipple mega cooler up here. We have the AFE intake. We have the little cover that goes over the ECU, and then we have the Cedar strut tower brakes. And under here, that's pretty much everything that's happening. Like I said, nothing else otherwise, performance-wise. But like I said, the way this truck is set up now, it definitely is a fun ride. And also for my friends down here at J&L OSC, oil separating. We got the oil separator put in for this particular vehicle also. So that way, if y'all ever want to know what one would look like from them, this was where it would be on this Explorer. I don't know if it's the same in the new Explorers, but I'm thinking it is. Okay, rolling around to the side, as you can see with the brakes that I have put down the power stop cross drill and slotted rotors on here, just to have that extra stopping power, and they look kind of nice too. It's lowered on the Steeda springs for the Explorer. I can't tell you which one they are off the top of my head, but you know, they're out there at the Steeda website. Just look under Explorer and it'll pop up. Got my little mud flaps here that I put on as an afterthought. There are the WeatherTechs. I put the Romic running boards. Now, the Romic running boards for me are more of an aesthetic. They're not really made for the running board. The car isn't high enough, and the car is lowered. But I am short. I am 5'5", so it does help me get up to the roof line and clean off some stuff if need be, and do stuff in that aspect. So, and I like the aesthetic of it. I like the look of the running board with the way I have the car set up. A lot of people are kind of like, why do you have it, this, that, the other, you don't need it, it's da 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 da. But you know, everybody to their own type of opinion and thought process. This is what I like, and I think they look pretty good on there. All right, going back here to the rear, same setup as the front. They have the performance brakes on there, and yes, I know the front ones have Brembo, but you know, I'm a perpetrator on that aspect, so we'll go ahead and just leave that as it is. But it is a square setup, so you know, you can balance and rotate these tires and do everything that you need to as you need to. Again, mud flap in the rear. It has 5% tint on the back half of the car, and it has 20% tint on the front. I do not have the whole windshield tinted, but I do have the strip at the top done. I'm old school, I like the eyebrow look, and for this car you really needed it because it was open. It didn't have any tint up here at all. So there's the actual line that is legal to tint up to. So that's where it is, and that's how it goes around, all the way around the car. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed when I had the hood up before, I did add some hood struts on there. That way you don't have that bar going in across your way. Again, I am short, so the least stuff I have in my way to get in my way works out for me pretty good. But that is the outside of Nightwing. Like I said, I'm very happy with this car. I love it to death. But there has been some new ideas that I've had with this car. So that's what the drive today is going to be about. And I'll show you some of the inside stuff going on too. Pretty much factory on the inside. And as you can see walking into the car, it is basically your ST line interior. It's cleaned up. I have a phone mount there for my phone. I do have the vertical tablet, which I wish it was horizontal like the new ones, because I think you get a little more out of it. But she's clean inside. Like I said, I take care of her, and I think she's only got, I think, 15,000 miles on it, and a lot of that is going back and forth to Myrtle Beach. So, you know, it's got all the features that are supposed to be in this vehicle. Alright, in here in the rear of the car, as you can see, I do not have the factory exhaust. I am running Borla Extremes on here, and they sound pretty good. It's all the way from the downpipe back, and I've changed the I guess the inlet tubes that always have issues, so those are redone too, where they rattle. All that has been switched out. Now, I did not do the downpipes on this car. At the time I was short on cash. I couldn't find somebody to do it, so those never got done. That might be a future plan on this, just to see if I can squeeze out a couple more horsepower. But for the most part, that's what it is. It's kind of almost full exhaust from front to rear. And then, of course, you got my little plate there. ZFG is my tuner for this car. They do tune a lot of the STs and Explorers and Raptors and stuff like that. So you can't really go wrong with it. This car was dynoed at 511 horsepower. So that is to the wheels, not to the crank. So it is kind of a stout vehicle for what it is, and as heavy as it is, it definitely moves out. What do you think about that tone? Not bad for a 6-cylinder. It ain't the V8 sound, but you know, it does do pretty good. So for some other parts on this car that you do not see, it has a front and rear sway bar. As you can see, it's right here. If you can see right in there, the blue sway bar. Got front and rear, and they're also by Steeda. Steeda did a lot of parts on this car. At the time, Krishavenko worked there, and he kind of helped me out with some stuff. So that's how we got this kind of set up. And yes, the car has 15,504 miles on it, and I've had it since 22. So we are at 25, so you could do the math. So there's not a lot of miles on my car at the moment. So now we are gonna go ahead, step in the car, go do a ride. I might throw on the Ray-Bans, have some POV footage for you. And again, with the POV footage with those Ray-Bans, the Meta glasses, it does everything in vertical, not landscape. So I'll have to fix it and edit. So I will try to not move as much and still try to give you the full view of what I'm trying to do. All right, guys, and I don't know if this is something new or if they've always had it. I know they've had Diet Mountain Dew, but when did they come out with Mountain Dew Zero? I used to love drinking Mountain Dew, but I am diabetic, so it's not one of those things that I could drink all the time. And now they have a zero sugar. I like my Pepsi Zero. So yeah, let me know if that's been out for a while, because I just saw it at the store and picked it up, and maybe it's been out there for a minute and I just never paid attention. So Mountain Dew Zero. Doesn't taste too bad. And for you guys that aren't familiar with the ST and the features that it has a little drive mode right here. I hope y'all can see it pretty good. Now up here is where it changes. Now this is Eco, Sport. You have a haul mode, trailer, so if you're towing stuff. I usually drive it in either Sport or normal. Sport is more aggressive. You feel the shifts a lot harder, especially with the tune. The tune itself will rev match and do all sorts of craziness. So that's what we're going to drive in today. And it changes the way that the dash looks in the aspect of where things are. So the normal view is what I usually drive in. So it'll give you the RPMs on this side, your tack in the middle, and then your tack in the middle. So, and then your little information how you do it. Where in sports mode it splits it off a little different. So let it go. All right, it puts the information in the middle. It gives you your RPMs on one side and then your miles per hour on the other. So that way it gives you more of a feel of what you got going on. And then over here is your temperature gauge, your fuel gauge, and then your little cluster at the bottom shows you right here where it's in park right now. You'll see it change gears, and down here also change gears. You have a manual setting if you wanted to go manual, but I usually let the car do its thing. It does okay in the paddle shifters, but I like it. I'm just lazy. I just like it doing its own thing. All right, everybody, we are now off. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about the Explorer just a little bit. I haven't really driven it too much here as of late, and it's just because, I work now, and with me working, I explained that at the beginning of the video, I usually take the truck out because of the parking lot that is at work, that when it rains and snows, it's just not the best, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of leave the main cars at home. So with this Explorer, now I've mentioned it a million times, and I'll probably say it a million times more, I love this thing. I don't have any gripes about this Explorer at all. It does what I want it to do. It is fast. It checks all the boxes, at least for a family car, right? You could haul stuff, you could put people in it, you could do what you need to do, you could do the groceries, got plenty of room, drop the seats, you got a bunch of room back there, you could put a 85-inch TV in there. So, you got the room to do what you need to do. You got the luxury parts with the sunroof and the heated seats, massage seats, the whole kit and caboodle, right? So, like I said, I don't have any gripes, issues, complaints about this car. Like I said, I have the AFE differential mount on here, so just in case I launch a little hard one day, it has some extra support. But like I said, I don't really drive it that hard, but like I said, it is an 11-second SUV, so you do have that. Let me see if I can do a little pull with this, because they've redone my roads back here. So now we have this little section back here. So there's an 85-mile-an-hour quick little hit. So this thing definitely will haul the mail and deliver it and return it if you needed to. Now this is all the new craziness here. Now they put this roundabout in my neighborhood, and they put one on the ass end of my neighborhood too, but people don't know how to drive it. You see this dude in front of me? It is crazy. I had there's a CarMax right here beside us, and we were curious how they go deliver the cars. They run over everything. So how this is going to work, or maybe they'll have to revamp it a little bit, I don't know. But like I said, it's a little crazy, and that's just a little FYI, a little tidbit. And then this is the car wash that I come to a lot right here. They take care of me pretty well. Like I said, I obviously don't need it right now, but you know, there is one there, and it is brushed, has brushes and stuff, but I haven't got any scratches on it so far. Not to say it won't, but you know, shame on me, right? If I get it jacked up, then I'll have to go get it paint corrected, and then I'll learn my lesson. But anyway, let me switch off of these. Okay, so let's talk about Nightwing a little bit. Now I have thought about selling Nightwing just for the fact to upgrade into something a little more. Now, it isn't going to happen anytime soon. I've thought about the 25s, but to lead off to the 25s from this car, the only difference really on the car is the little facelift in the front, and then how they did the interior. Now, I like the interior a lot better in the new cars than I do in the old cars, and then the tablet is switched horizontal, so you know, it gives you more of a feel of what you got going on versus the vertical tablet of what I got here. You know, it's flipped the other way. Now, if this had a bigger tablet over here, I probably wouldn't mind it so much. I do the wireless CarPlay. I have a little dongle that goes into the console here, and it works out fine. It does what I needed to do off my phone. So with that being said, I don't think I'll be upgrading to a 25 or 26 Explorer ST. Now, there have been talks about the Eververse coming to America. Yes, and that's not that movie, that is this car. So I've always followed the Eververse, and because you know, they're out and where they are, and I've always wondered why Ford doesn't bring that stuff over here, because they seem to, the look on it is a lot better. You know, we have the different versions of the Explorer, the trail, what is it? I don't know, the Tremor version or whatever it is. And like I said, they look fine, but they're not like the cars over there. Now, will we get that version of the Eververse? I don't know, but we'll have to see. And then we'll have to see the cost that comes along with it. I like to have something a little different sometimes, and I don't really need something that goes on the trails and stuff, because obviously what you just saw, I'm more about speed. And then again, with switching out this car, there's a lot of work I have done to it with the suspension and the intercooler, and you know, a whole lot of little this, that, and the other that will transfer over to the new Explorer. But you know, they're not going to give me the time to switch that stuff over, right? Or I won't be able to say, okay, I need this, and this moved off. Maybe the wheels I can swap around, but you know, for the most part, I'm going to lose some money on this because of what it is. And like I said, the car itself doesn't have a lot of miles on it anyway, so it does, you know, and I don't owe nothing. I don't owe nothing on this car, so it's kind of pointless unless it's just me wanting something newer. But like I said, I don't know, when the Eververse comes out, we might have this discussion again. Like I said, Nightwing, for the foreseeable future, I don't see anything going away with her. Like I said, you can hear she purrs like a kitten. She drives great. And like I said, she's been back and forth to Myrtle. She's been up in the mountains. She was at the ST driving school. We drove this up there. We didn't drive this around with it because they gave us our own cars. But you know, this car has been traveled a little bit too. Believe it or not, that's where a lot of the miles came from, because I don't really put a lot of miles in my car. You know, I work 15 minutes from work. So here, as of lately, I've put in miles on the cars. But before that, I worked from home and I didn't. And, you know, that's why I kind of been able to keep my cars fresh and new. But I'm going to go ahead and get some petrol on this thing, and then we'll continue the conversation in a moment. I just want y'all to see it when it starts to downshift. Like I said, the car is wonderful. I love this thing. For it being an SUV, you know, and how much it weighs, it moves pretty good. And like I said, sounds good, it looks good. You know, I think it's the color that kind of won me over back in the day. Like I said, I wanted to go ahead and do it, but you'll hear it downshift here in a second. No, not as apparent, but yeah, like I said, it rev matches when it downshifts, so it does pretty good. And definitely, again, this, I think if y'all are thinking about getting an ST, they're definitely not just for your wife. They're not just a dad ride. You know, there's definitely the potential here to do things with this car. And again, this was dynoed at 511 horsepower, and that wasn't on E. This is also can be on E30 or E50. I have a tune for both. So, you know, I'm probably looking at 550 horsepower, you know, the way that the car sits. Now, you're kind of limited on some of the stuff with this. Hold on real quick. I only have so many minutes to do it on the glass, and then it'll cut off on me. So, you're kind of limited on how far you could go. Now, you can upgrade your turbos. That'll give you some wiggle room. Fuel system, injectors. You know, you could do different things to make it go. These things go on 700-800 horsepower. You know, some people have built out the trans, you know, to handle a little more power. So, like I said, these cars will do what you need them to do. You just have to understand it's kind of an investment and what you're trying to get out of it. But like I said, I have race cars with this that people have looked at me kind of funny, and I'm like, okay. So, and they got surprised. Now with GTs, it'll probably jump them off the line, but they'll catch up because you don't have the top end in this car. But any of the EcoBoosts, unless they've been worked on, it's beating some Scat Packs. So, you know, it does what it needs to, for sure. All right, now we're just traveling on back home. Like I said, love this car. It does everything, checks all the boxes. So if y'all ever think about getting an Explorer ST, as you can see, there's a new one. Nope, that's not one that has the ST line right there, but it's not the ST. But that's a newer Explorer there. And like I said, they don't make it in this color either. So if I had another alternative color, it would be white. White with the black roof type deal. So that's what, it's just kind of, I have to wait and see, you know. And like I said, maybe another car that might be coming, maybe I might go into some type of foreign car. Maybe an Audi. I've always liked the Audi series. So we'll have to see. Like I said, I'm not in the mood to spend any money unwillingly right now, so I don't really have the extra paper for that, and the holidays and everything. And like I said, holidays got me kind of strung out a little bit, if you know what I mean. So like I said, we'll do what we can with what we got. And like I said, I don't see any future plans for Nightwing here. Like I said, it is what it is, and it does good. And you know, maybe later on I might mess with the fuel system a little bit, or you know, if I want to reach out to get different numbers or something, you know. But I'm very happy with the way that this car is balanced out and set, and you know how it runs and everything else. So I really don't have any complaints about that at all. Like I said, I know it's just kind of, you know, I got Wasp, which is pretty much fully built now. I got this, which is pretty much fully built. Kind of run out of projects, so you know, like I said, now it's going to be more videos of me and enjoying them or doing something. I don't hold that thought. Okay, what I was about to say, I really don't race my vehicles. I like to have the power there, and I like the doing all the installing and getting up to that. But again, I don't sit there and try to break my car every weekend. I don't sit there and try to, you know, go to the track or whatever. Brandon, Derek, and the other Brandon went to Dominion this weekend and did some autocrossing. You know, it was for charity, so they did a couple laps, whatever. They invited me, but I have so much going on outside of YouTube, outside of car related stuff, with A, health, B, work now, because work takes up extremely amount of my time now, and then, you know, doing the family thing. We got the holidays now and everything else, right? So I don't build my cars to abuse them. I built them because it's how I wanted them to be built. Like I said, I got a lot of grief when I bought this Explorer. You know, why'd you get an Explorer? You had an Explorer before. No, I had an XLT before. I didn't have the ST. You know, so it is two different beasts, totally. You know, so it is kind of what I wanted to do with this car, and I did it. And like I said, I'm happy with it. And you know, as things go on, I know there's new tunes out there, even through ZFG. You know, they have line lock ones, and they have all sorts of crazy stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. Not line lock. Yeah, line lock. So you can sit there and stage your car and whatnot. So it is a lot of different things. You have it where you can sit there and redial it and have different type of tunes thrown in and what have you. But, you know, I'm happy the way that this car feels. I'm happy how it acts, how it performs. I'm happy with all of it right now. So, you know, sorry, going through the little daisy chain here. So, roundabout, as you would say. So, like I said, it's just, the car is good. Like I said, I'm totally tickled with it at the moment. All right, everybody. So now we are back at home. I got Nightwing back in the garage, and we are going to go do a little bonus travel today. We're going to go ahead and take out Wasp. I need to go get gas in that also, so we'll go ahead and continue the conversation, but we'll just be in a different car. See you inside of that one. All right, we are inside of Wasp now. Before I give her a start, how do you like the boost gauge? I think a lot of people kind of are pretty at all with it. You know, like I said, it's not that big of a deal because prior to this year, they did have a pillar for this car. They don't have one now. I went ahead and got that done here at my local radio shop, and they customized it pretty well. It works great, and it looks like it belongs there. That was the whole point of it doing. I didn't want one in the, like I had in the Electra, where I had it in the actual vent. It kind of takes up a lot of room. B, it messes up the airflow for AC, heat, or whatever. So this kind of does where I need it to be. And then it looks like aesthetically it's pleasing with that. And then you can kind of work your colors if you want. They do make these in digital. They make them any which way you want. This is kind of what I had in Electra, and I kind of like it. This is not the mechanical one like I did have an Electric. Electra, I had to do whatever. This is the electric one. So it acts a little different. So let's go ahead and cold start this bad boy. It's going to start off in normal. Turn that down. Okay. And as you can see, the boost is doing what it needs to. And then I will move this up to my custom setting, which will open up the exhaust here in the sports mode, and it gets a little bit louder. And as you see, this is how I roll this car. Sport suspension, sport steering, sport exhaust. The gauge is the normal gauge, so I like that. And then I'll run it with the traction control off. So, and this is synced to my phone. So we will get going. For those of you that do not know, this is Wasp, my 2024 Mustang GT, which is now Whipple supercharged. It is 815 horsepower on pump, around 850-ish on E. I run E30 occasionally on the car, and this is kind of how I have things squared away in it. I just explained the boost gauge, and like I said, we're gonna go ahead and give her a little drive real quick. I need to get some petrol in there. I'm filling up all my cars for the week. It's a short week, so I won't need as much, but you know, gotta fill them up anyway. So let's get Wasp going, and maybe I'll give you some little view driving this a little spiritedly. All right, let me see if I can give y'all a little pull here also. Yeah, we rolling. This car is so freaking fast, it's retarded. So, yeah. Woo! All right. That exciting for y'all? All right, that was fun. Anyway, the thing about this car, as much as how long I've owned it for 2 years. It's only got 6,500 miles on it. Again, with the whole driving aspect of it all, this car still surprises me. Like I said, I was watching everything else going on as I did that pull, and like I said, we hit 90 something in that little stretch, and I topped off that gear, and I wasn't paying attention, so the rev limiter kicked it down. But like I said, it is stupid fast. This car has always been kind of crazy. And like I said, I enjoy the shit out of it. Like I said, I don't drive it enough, so every day is a new experience for me in this car. So I hope y'all enjoyed that little pull. I did. But like I said, it's definitely a surprise sometimes. Like I said, it'll just go and just keep on going and going and going and going and going. So yep, see you in a sec. The thing about this car also, I know I keep going back and forth from the GoPro in this. It's gonna be fun to edit. Like I said, the car itself is so smooth. It rides so good. And like I said, this was my first Magna-Ride car. So I don't know if that's why it is the way it is. I had my Belgians on before this with the Nitto 555s. And then I switched over to the Gem Motorsports. These are, the actual wheels are, I think it's Muscle something. I don't know who the exact, I do know, but I don't know it off the top of my head. And when I got the Indy 500s put on with those type of wheels, this car has turned into a driving paradise. It is smooth, nothing vibrates. It's awesome. Like I said, I'm riding right now, and the car is great. I mean, this thing will shit and get at any point that you want it to. So, like I said, I know people gave me grief for getting rid of Electra, but like I said, it's a new chapter, it's a new toy, and like I said, I'm enjoying it. It's kind of an updated version of Brandon's car. It's the same but different. You know, it has the screens and the newer motor. You know, he has a Gen 2 where this has a Gen 4 motor in it. But then it kind of Gen 2, Gen 3-ish, because you took away some of the aspect of why it was a Gen 4. Took away the double throttle bodies now because I got the single big throttle body with it because of the Whipple. But like I said, this car amazes me every time I drive it. Like I said, the way it handles. Like again, I've put some work into it. So like I said, it definitely, it was okay before, but it was missing that horsepower aspect. When you buy a Mustang, you expect certain things from a Mustang, and then you get kind of spoiled, especially someone like me that has done tricks with the cars before. You know, like I said, my blue car was 750 horsepower on pump gas, you know, and this one is 850 on E30, you know, 815 on pump gas. So it went up just a hair more with the Whipple, and it's a bigger Whipple. But this is the car being safe on a Whipple tune. The other one was on a Lund tune. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, and there's so much more I could do with this now that there's tuning. But like I said, at this present moment in time, this car is, again, like I say with the Explorer, where I want it to be. It's an all-around good car. It'll give you the speed. Sorry, it cut off. It'll give you the speed. It'll give you the handling. So, and it sounds great. Listen to that. You know, so it's just kind of what you're looking for. And this car, if you are new to manual and like to get into a manual, I believe this is the car that you need in a manual. It will pretty much drive itself. Yes, you're gonna have to do the clutch work on it, but it's not like the old cars or something with a heavy clutch that you can, you know, stall out. This thing will pretty much, if you put it in first gear, have the clutch down and just lift up, I'm not giving it gas, and it'll work. See, now it's in its gear, you could go ahead and do it. And first gear is always the hardest. Now everything else is just smooth and can go. So that's another thing about the 6 in this car, the 6-speed, because you can definitely use it, you know, for especially with beginner drivers. They're not going to have the issues that they did with the older cars. Just peace of mind. I got the windows down so we could kind of get some real-time sounds from the car. So we'll sit here at the light for a moment, let things cycle through, and then we'll go from there. But this is what I was talking about, the screen too in the Explorer. See how much wider this is instead of vertical. I think that's what they're using now in the new Explorers. So I'm thinking that would have been so much better. I was a couple years off. So yeah, this is what it sounds like on normal driving in sports mode. So it doesn't sound bad. You can do your rev matching on it. Like I said, the car itself, again, is well-rounded. No complaints with any of my vehicles at the moment. And like I said, this one I could drive spiritedly and have a good time at the track, or driving around with the buddies and whatever. And then if I have somewhere to go that I need to carry people around, that's where the Explorer kicks in. Again, that is not a slouch by any means, as y'all saw earlier. And like I said, it's kind of best of both worlds with the Explorer. This, you know, it's good for this, and no complaints at all. So we'll see you at the house. Well guys, that is the drive for today. A little extra with Wasp this morning. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. And as you can see, everything is intact and runs great. That little noise in the video is the seat belts flapping back and forth. So don't want y'all to get a little concerned over that. Nothing happened to the car. Everything is good to go. And like I said, this thing is a beast. It'll run and it'll keep going. That was topping off second gear at 90 miles an hour on that little stretch. So yeah, and this has got so much more potential, untapped potential at that. But again, this is Wasp. Don't forget that name. So we are going to go ahead and end the video here. I just wanted to give a little bit of drive time to my Nightwing, add a little bonus with Wasp here, and just wanted to let you know where I was with Nightwing. Nightwing is still one of my favorites, and like I said, I explained the differences in the two, and you know why I like this so much. It's the versatility in it. You know, if I need to take a couple friends somewhere, go take people to the airport or whatever, I have that option. You know, if I want to drive it spiritedly, it's set up for that. It has the front and rear sway bars in it. It has the lower end springs. It is still usable to tow if need be. So it's all well rounded. I build my cars to be multifaceted, I guess you could say. So it could do one thing and another. You know, same thing with Wasp. It's a great daily. It'll run fast on a track. It'll handle in corners. So that car is set up the way I need to. Now, my old one that looked like this, that doesn't look like this, that I don't think is actually around anymore, but I'll let that get spoken about at some other point. But this handles so much different than that. Old technology, live axle, but for the way that the cars look, this is a much better look, I believe, than these cars. You know, this is more held to tradition with the Mustangs. It's more of an aggressive front lip, front look to it, and such. But the technology has changed from this to what these are today. So, you know, you got Brandon's car, which has now gotten up into the ranks of where we are, you know. So, you know, his is Whipple supercharged. His hasn't been on a dyno yet, and I think he's going to do that at some point. But then he got his car retuned. He got bigger injectors, so it may be a little quicker than this, you know. So it all depends how everything goes, because I used the Whipple kit the way it came. He upgraded some of the stuff on his Whipple kit, and it being a 24 versus a 15, you know, this was tunable at the time where this is now, but this is tunable, and people have done this for so long on this particular model that, you know, it is what it is with that case, you know. So that's why he could, his duty cycle on his injectors with the ones that came with the Whipple kit were almost stretched out. So, you know, maybe I'm going to have that problem, but this is a whole different motor too. You know, this has the injectors, the new injectors that come versus the old versus this style. So you know what I'm trying to say with the two. There is some differences in the two. As similar as they look these days, because he used the same headlights and stuff like that, but you know, there's definitely differences. I do kind of miss the body style. I wish I had this technology in that car, because you know, that would make it all the world difference. But in the case of being long-winded, I am going to end this video right now. So if y'all enjoyed this type of video, like I said, it's more me discussing, talking. You know, the weather's kind of, you know, it's supposed to be sunny and hot. It's not sunny and it's not hot, but you know, I need to be a weatherman. That way I could be wrong all the time and still get that check at the end of the day. But from Nightwing, Storm, Wasp, Minion, Jeep Wagon, whatever the two alls are, we will catch you on the next video. Go ahead, like, subscribe, enjoy, comment, definitely. I just want to hear what y'all got to say. That way it gives me something more to work off of and interact with y'all. So we'll catch y'all in the next video. Have a good holiday. Probably won't be posting until after Christmas again, or maybe after New Year's. So we'll see you when I see you, and have a great holiday.